Hello and welcome back to Snapshot. My name is Jackson. We are back with the week 9, I think, weekly updates here on the channel. First things first, just wanted to say a big thank you to all of you. We just hit 100 subscribers, now up to 102 as of today. Today is Thursday the 20th as I'm recording this. Probably gonna go out today as well. But just a big thank you. It's been 4 months since I started this channel, and already we've grown to triple digits. So thank you very much for all the continued support, and subscribe if you have not already to the channel. Lots more quad ball content coming your way. But let's get started with the weekly recap. First things first, App 5, Mid-Atlantic region. First, the main storyline is that UVA won, of course. This was a double elimination bracket that they had set up. So you'll see James Madison played 4 games, Virginia 3, Pittsburgh only 2. That's just because of the way the bracket was set up. It was double elimination. UVA won it. They went 3-0 on the weekend. And the big storyline there is they only had 8 players playing on the roster. So you might look at some of these scores and say, oh, UVA only won by 25 points here and 45 in the finals. And even Triangle United put up a couple points on them. Well, remember that UVA was only playing with 8 players, not even their full top line, and they were still able to get all these wins, which just shows how good of a team that UVA has this year. Wanted to make a big shout out though, because even despite that, I'm not going to take away anything from James Madison, JMU in particular. Levin Siskarishvili, it's the last time I'm going to try and pronounce it in this video, but absolutely insane for JMU. Caught the flag in, I believe, 2 or 3 of their games, and was the team's leading scorer as well in all the games. It just wasn't enough for the likes of John Evans to handle. Joey Bay, John Evans, I think they were playing this weekend for UVA. Chantal Sidlars as well. But Virginia did not. The Cavs didn't have everybody playing, and yet they still won. But I don't want to take away anything from JMU. They had a great weekend. Took UVA to within 25 points here and 45 later. Beat Triangle United. Took down Pittsburgh in somewhat closer games, but still getting the wins that they needed to. And then Triangle United showing some growth here. They took a win, I believe their first one of the season, over Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh was a team that I thought could have been on the rise, and maybe they still are after beating Crucio a couple weeks ago. But Triangle United getting a big win for them and for their program, getting some experience against UVA and James Madison as well. Let's take a look at the standings in the Mid-Atlantic. UVA moves to 7-0 in official, 11-0 overall. I had in my regional power rankings, James Madison's going to pass Pittsburgh. I just think they played a little bit of a better game this weekend. I was more impressed with their weekend. Taking the league number 1 to within 3 points is a pretty good weekend. Triangle United still in 4th, but getting their first win on the board is big for the young team. Let's move to MQC, the Massachusetts Quad Ball Conference. Big storyline here. Harvard is on red alert this, well, really until future notice. Taking a very close loss to Boston. This was encouraging to see for the Horntails. You only lose by 25 points. You lose by 6 goals to Boston, but in a pretty close game with the flag factored in. And then we come over here to Brandeis. Big win for the judges, by the way. Very impressed with Brandeis in this game. They were able to get the win after a few clutch goals from Weinstein and Schwartz, catching the flag in the end. And Harvard just not able to get it done. Went up 5-3 early in the game, going up, I believe it's 10-5 at this point, or well, the flag factored in, so 10-8. Harvard's still up, but a 5-1 run to close out the game for Brandeis. They're able to make the comeback victory and take the upset over Harvard. So Harvard 0-2 on the weekend. Boston 2-0. Brandeis taking the loss to Boston, but making it somewhat close. The judges are a team, they're starting to look more how we thought about them in the preseason. We thought Brandeis could be a team to watch out for in D1. They hadn't shown that yet, and now they have a win that they can point to, a win over a top 10 team. My number 10 team from my previous rankings, Fast Break had them ranked as well, so regarded as a good team in Harvard, and Brandeis just took a win over them. In the other groups, that was the group Boston, Harvard, and Brandeis. The other group was Emerson, Middlebury, and Vermont. Emerson took a close win over Middlebury. Vermont dominated Middlebury. And then the last game didn't show up on Quad Ball 1, but I have the score right here. Vermont getting the win over Emerson. So Vermont 2-0 on the weekend. Emerson 1-1, Middlebury 0-2. Here are updated MQC standings and rankings. Still Rutgers at 1. They were idle this week, did not play. Boston at 2. And now I want to see this game again. Rutgers and Boston, after the Harvard loss, are now a clear 1-2 in MQC, in my opinion. I've still got Rutgers above them for now, but I want to see this game again. I cannot wait until these two teams take the field again. I'm giving Brandeis the respect for beating Harvard. I put them up to number 3 in my regional power rankings. I know that RPI's beaten them a couple times this season, but Brandeis now took down Harvard, and I'm going to give them the respect that they deserve for now. So I had them jumping RPI and Harvard into 3rd place, but these 3 teams are definitely that next tier. It's Boston, Rutgers in tier 1. Brandeis has officially moved into tier 2, in my opinion. RPI and Harvard there as well. Harvard started 4-0 in official play and has lost 6 straight. And those 6 losses, 2 of them came to UVA, 2 of them came to Rutgers, 1 to Boston, and 1 to Brandeis. And so you say, well, 5 of those losses are to other top 10 teams. You know, is that something you can be ashamed of? No, but maybe you want to win one of those games if you're truly a contender. But losing to Brandeis, especially losing it right at the end, being, losing on a 5-1 run, not a great look for the Horntails. I don't doubt that they can come back from it. I think they can. I think they're still a good enough team, and I think they're still poised to make a D1 run. But after the past 2 weekends they've had, you need to see some improvement from Harvard going into the spring semester. I put Vermont over Brown this week in my regional rankings. I'm going to give Vermont some respect after the weekend they just had, getting a pretty big win over Emerson and Middlebury. Brown has only got 2 wins, one of them official. So Vermont just on record looks a little bit better. And so I'm going to put Vermont above them for now. I don't think these two have played this year. Maybe unofficially they've played. I don't remember off the top of my head. But Vermont, 6th place in my regional rankings. I'd probably vote Vermont maybe the same tier as Emerson and Brown, kind of, and then Middlebury and Vassar bringing up the rear. But we will see how that all shapes out. No MQC this week. We'll get to it a little bit later, but there will be a fantasy tournament in Massachusetts that we will talk about here in just a minute. Now looking at some of the club games, we had a 3-game series between the Texas Hill Country Heat and the Texas Copperheads. I watched every second of this series, and it was a fun one. It got close here in game 2, as you can see, 170-145. Most of these games, the Copperheads started out good early. Yeah, you can see here a 3-1 run to start the game, and then 6 goals in a row by the Heat to take the lead and really run away with it. And you're seeing a lot of the UTSA championship core here: Jay Stewart, Matt Blackwood, Alyssa Villalba, Brandon Kubina doing his best for the team. Got 4 goals here actually, in pretty quick succession at the start of the game. Alex Vega caught the flag for this team. Chase Contreras has seen a lot better looks as of late for this Copperheads team. I think Chase is fitting well in the Copperhead system. Just joined Copperheads after leaving Sam Houston. And Chase played well at Sam Houston in my opinion, but looks a lot better in the Copperheads system. This is a young team, the Copperheads. I don't think they have a single player over the age of 25, maybe only 1 or 2. But the Copperheads look solid, I think. This game kind of got away from them. Heat kind of poured it on here in game 3, taking a big win. Christian Cortez had a very good summer for the San Antonio Soldados, seeking, and was right back to it for the Heat. The one thing that I think killed the Copperheads in this series was transition defense. I think there's a couple things that they could work on, but the Heat and the Soldados as well, one thing that they do very well is their transition offense. And I think they were able to catch out the Copperheads on multiple occasions. That said, I think there's a lot of good that we saw from the Copperheads this past weekend, but Heat showing why, with their longtime core coming back as well, the likes of Jackson Johnson and Mel Kite, all of those players were playing as well, along with the new UTSA graduates, and it's creating an even stronger lineup overall. So congrats to Heat for the 3-0 weekend. Up in the Northeast, Philadelphia, the Flamingos hosted a tournament with Atlantic Dragons, the Flamingos, New Jersey Dice, and the New York Slice. Dice getting 3 wins on the weekend. Well, on the Saturday, because we'll see here in a second, but Dice also played on the Sunday. New York Slice, remember this is the B team to New Jersey Dice, played a game with their A team counterpart. Good experience for them there. Slice played Dragons. There was a couple of games where teams were combining rosters. I know Dragons, I think, only had 4 or 5 players that are like from Atlantic Dragons, so they were combined with Flamingos for a couple of games, or combined taking players from Dice. Just good to get experience for those teams. All of these games were unofficial for Flamingo Royale. But the big thing I want to touch on is that Dice had 3 games. Whether you say they were competitive or not, Dice did play 3 games. And then if we look at on Sunday, the official series, maybe a little bit more competitive, Pandemonium, they played some higher caliber opponents on the Sunday. Boston Lobsters, first time we saw them in action, they played New Jersey. And New Jersey ended up taking the win 175-80 over the Lobsters. They were in control. Well, you can see after about 5 minutes, the Lobsters took a 4-0 run to start the game. And then New Jersey started putting it together, went on, was this a 7-0 run right here? 10-2 run at this point, even catching the flag at some point. The Dice looked good. Maybe a little sloppy at times, but I think part of that is you're playing 6 games, I think, on the weekend for them. Or maybe it was 5. I think it was 3 from Flamingo Royale and 2 at Pandemonium. So at least 5 games bleeding into Sunday, and you're playing the higher caliber opponents as well on the Sunday as well. It's a picture of what Nationals could look like for this team, where you do have a 2-day tournament and you've got to play 6 or 7 games to win a title at Nationals. And they were able to show that they can beat some higher caliber club teams on the second day. Boston as well, showing some promise over Vermont United. Vermont, I think, earned, they were number 10 coming into my club rankings when I made those a couple weeks ago. I think Vermont earned that after what I saw from them in this game. You will see here, though, a massive run by the Lobsters at the end of the game. The start started much closer. Vermont got off to a very good start. Ethan Dillon, Ian Skura, Stephen Trimple, Manhart as well, all doing what they can. Trimple even catching the flag later on. Vermont played well, 115. Little on the lower end in terms of scoring, but not bad from Vermont. The problem was Boston's going to go on this big run here in a little bit. But, sorry, Ethan Dillon plays for the Lobsters. I'm not sure why it showed up on Vermont's side here. But pretty close to start the game. It looks like a 6-5 run to start here for Vermont. And then you'll see a 6-0 run right here by the Lobsters, 4-1 to end the game. Lobsters get the win 170-115. Vermont played Dice a little bit closer than Ethan Dillon showing up here again. I'm not sure why that happened. But it was good for Dice. You can see a 6-0 run to start the game here. Another 6-0 run here. Just a lot of runs for this Dice team, as well as the Lobsters we saw in the Vermont game. That bodes well for Dice if you're able to put teams away and make the games not close. And I think it can even improve later in the season as we go on. Remember, it's the first series of the season for all 3 of these teams. So if anything looks sloppy, or if anything looks not as put together as maybe we thought it would, I think it'll sort itself out. And I still think of Dice very highly because they still went 5-0 on a weekend where Leo Freed didn't score very much at all. I don't remember seeing his name on any of the scorecards in Quad Ball 1 for the Dice. But a 2-day tournament essentially for Dice, going 5-0, it bodes well for them, and I think they're only going to improve. Let's look at this little mini series, a 2-game set between Illinois and Missouri. This was played in St. Louis. This game, as far as I could tell, was not streamed, but I had some people tell me some of the things that they thought from the series, someone that was there, is that Missouri looked a lot better, at least in game 1, than they did at Chick or Beat. If you remember at Chick or Beat, Missouri went 1-3, even taking a loss to Marquette there, along with losses to Creighton and Illinois. And it sounds like they looked a lot better at this and this in this little series. Henry Hamilton had a couple goals for Missouri, as well as we'll see catching the flag in game number 2. But Illinois was able to come back with a 5-0 run here, ended up getting the win in the end, 140-100 in this first game. Let's take a look at the second game here. Missouri would catch the flag in this one, but in terms of quad ball differential, it was 14-6, Illini leading. So Illinois was able to clean up a lot of things in game number 2. Missouri looked a lot better than their Chick or Beat tournament, but ultimately was not enough to get a win over the Illini. Let's take a look at the standings now. Missouri 0-2 in official play after that weekend, 1-5 overall. Illinois moves to 5-1, 10-1 overall. And you will see one team that I've added here, Michigan, is back this weekend. Let's go ahead and look ahead now at Rust Belt League meet number 4. The Michigan Wolverines will be playing at 7 a.m. on Saturday against their in-state rivals, the Michigan State Spartans. Some people were asking, where is Michigan this season? Well, now they're back. They're playing this weekend in Ohio. There's going to be a lot of answers this weekend for the Rust Belt. It feels like there's a lot of parity in the Rust Belt right now. It feels like a lot of teams are pretty close, but we've got Michigan, Michigan State, Michigan, Bowling Green, Purdue, and Crucio all playing this weekend. All 5 of those teams will be playing a round robin, so everyone will play everyone. There's also, for now, a 4-game set scheduled between the Ohio Apollos and Brew Cities. And I'm excited to watch this, actually, because Ohio Apollos, I believe, will be the core of the Cleveland Riff from MLQ. Cleveland playing a lot better this past summer than they have in years past. Brew Cities also looked pretty good at Chick or Beat. So I think whether we get all 4 of these games, or maybe if they only play 2 or 3 of them, it's going to be fun to watch regardless. I'm excited to see that series, but I'm very excited for the college side here, specifically to see where is Michigan? What are they doing? Are we going to get the Michigan that made it to the quarterfinals at 2024 Nationals? Or are we going to get the Michigan that played in D2 last year and weren't able to make a run in D2? We will see. But they're going to be playing Michigan State. They're going to be playing Crucio, so they will be tested against some of the upper teams in the Midwest. No Illini, no Creighton, so we are going to see who's third place in the Rust Belt right now, because I think it's pretty clear. It's Creighton 1, it's Illinois 2. I don't think it's very debatable right now. And then Case Western, Michigan State, and Michigan are all playing this weekend. Michigan State and Crucio right now are my number 3 and 4 teams. Missouri, number 5, they're not playing this weekend, but let's see. The last time Crucio and Michigan State played, they split 1-1. So let's see who's going to win kind of the tiebreaker match. That game is going to be played at 1 p.m. Very excited to see that. West Coast is back. Nothing official yet, I would assume, given that it's UCLA versus the Lost Boys. This appears just to be more of a scrimmage. Get UCLA some reps, get the Lost Boys some reps, get people some official games. Well, not official in the sense of it counts, but official in the sense of they're structured. Get some good scrimmage going. So good to see West Coast finally making an appearance. I'm sure we'll see the likes of Arizona State at some point. I think Cal is still playing, so we'll see if they show up at some point. Bay Area would be good too. I'm sure we'll see all those teams at some point. Last thing before we get out of here, Turkey Day Fantasy up in Massachusetts. They did the live draft for this a couple days ago. I'll scroll through the teams here, let y'all look at them. My early estimation, I think Green Team probably has the best roster here, but we will see. Fantasy can always go any number of ways, but you know, fantasy is always some fun tournaments to have. Anyway, thank you so much for watching this video. Let me know all your thoughts in the comments below, and this is Jackson Vaughn signing off.